If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The Cleveland Browns enter this NFL season shrouded in uncertainty, leaving fans, analysts, and casual observers scratching their heads. Coming off a disappointing 3-win campaign, the team's prospects have been widely questioned, with projections painting them as one of the league's underperformers once again. Yet, despite the doom and gloom narrative dominating headlines, Tony Grossi, a seasoned insider, sees a different story unfolding for Cleveland. Speaking on ESPN Cleveland's The Really Big Show, Grossi predicted that the Browns are capable of winning 8 games this season, a mark that, while not spectacular, would signify a clear improvement over last year's dismal output. His optimism isn't rooted in wishful thinking, but in a careful assessment of roster composition, coaching strengths, and the potential impact of quarterback Joe Flacco, who he believes could emerge as a pivotal X factor. For Grossi, the key is recognizing that if everything aligns properly, Cleveland has a realistic chance to surprise the skeptics and secure a record that reflects its underlying talent and depth more accurately than last season's results suggested. While acknowledging the challenges ahead, Grossi emphasized that Cleveland's potential success hinges on health, timing, and a touch of fortune, factors that have hampered the team in prior seasons. Injuries decimated both the quarterback position and the offensive line last year, leading to missed opportunities, stalled drives, and a general sense of underachievement relative to talent. Grossi noted that if the Browns can avoid the injury pitfalls that plagued them previously, their chances of finishing above .500 improve significantly. The defensive line, according to Grossi, represents one of the team's most compelling strengths, with coordinator Jim Schwartz inheriting a unit that has more talent and depth than in any of his prior stops. Flacco's presence under center, often underestimated by media narratives, provides stability and experience, allowing the offense to operate efficiently without the constant fear of turnovers that haunted Deshaun Watson's tenure. By combining improved defensive performance with careful management of offensive responsibilities, Cleveland could potentially transform from a league afterthought into a team capable of competitive consistency in the brutal AFC North. Grossi's prediction of 8 wins, though moderate, underscores a critical point. The Browns are far from the hopeless franchise many analysts make them out to be. Historically, the team's struggles have often been attributed to high-profile failures at key positions rather than systemic flaws. By focusing on incremental improvements, injury prevention, and player development, Cleveland could emerge as a legitimately competitive squad. The defensive line, set to anchor the team, provides not only pass-rushing ability but also the flexibility to disrupt opposing offenses in multiple ways. Meanwhile, Flacco's experience allows him to manage games effectively, keep the chains moving, and reduce costly mistakes. Grossi's bullish outlook is therefore less about blind optimism and more about recognizing the tangible assets the Browns currently possess, including a roster that, on paper, should outperform last year's record if managed correctly, and the potential for players to rise to the occasion under a coaching staff determined to maximize their strengths. The Browns' offseason moves and preparation have not garnered widespread praise, but Grossi insists that analysts are undervaluing the team's latent potential. After a season derailed by poor quarterback play and a decimated offensive line, Cleveland enters the year with the opportunity to showcase its true capabilities. The defensive line's anticipated dominance is expected to set the tone, applying pressure on opponents and creating turnover opportunities that can swing games in the Browns' favor. Flacco's calm and measured style could stabilize the offense, allowing playmakers to operate without the constant pressure of carrying the team. While the AFC North remains one of the most challenging divisions in football, a disciplined defense combined with a functional offense positions Cleveland to be competitive in nearly every matchup. Grossi's insights suggest that, while 8 wins is a cautious estimate, the team has a realistic path to outperform expectations if consistency and health align over the course of the season. Cleveland's narrative is further complicated by comparisons with divisional rival Baltimore, a perennial powerhouse in the AFC North. While the Browns are not expected to challenge the Ravens for supremacy immediately, they are no longer automatic cellar dwellers either. Grossi highlighted that the gap between Cleveland and the league's elite is narrowing, and incremental improvements could result in meaningful victories. With a strong defensive unit capable of dictating the pace of games, Cleveland can challenge teams week after week, even when the odds seem stacked against them. Flacco's leadership, particularly his ability to avoid turnovers and maintain drive momentum, becomes a differentiator, transforming close contests into winnable opportunities. Analysts who dismiss the Browns overlook the importance of these intangibles, such as experience, discipline, and depth, which are critical in a division as physically demanding and strategically complex as the AFC North, where every game is a grind and resilience often determines season outcomes. Offensive efficiency remains a cornerstone of Grossi's projection, with Flacco's role as a stabilizing presence at quarterback emphasized repeatedly. Unlike the tumultuous performances witnessed with Deshaun Watson, Cleveland's offense could achieve consistency if Flacco can minimize mistakes, read defenses accurately, and make key throws in critical moments. Grossi's evaluation extends beyond mere talent assessment, delving into the psychological aspects of performance, including confidence, leadership, and poise under pressure. The interplay between a revitalized defensive line and an offense led by a methodical quarterback could allow the Browns to sustain drives, control game tempo, and remain competitive even against formidable opponents. This balance, according to Grossi, is what differentiates a team capable of 8 wins from one trapped in the league's lower echelon, highlighting the nuanced combination of talent, strategy, and circumstance that defines success in the NFL. Looking at the broader picture, Cleveland's 8-win projection represents more than just a statistical estimate. It symbolizes a shift in perception regarding the franchise's trajectory. Analysts have historically been quick to condemn the Browns based on past underperformance rather than current potential, creating an environment where any improvement is magnified. Grossi's outlook challenges that narrative, suggesting that careful roster management, strategic coaching, and player health can transform Cleveland into a team that consistently competes within the division. The defensive line is expected to be a game-changer, exerting pressure, forcing errors, and setting the standard for physical dominance. Meanwhile, Flacco's contribution extends beyond individual plays, influencing locker room cohesion and the team's ability to maintain composure in tight situations, reinforcing the notion that Cleveland possesses the structural components to transcend its previous reputation and establish itself as a credible competitor. Injury management remains a crucial variable in Cleveland's quest for improvement, with Grossi emphasizing that avoiding key losses could make the difference between mediocrity and competitive respectability. Last season's collapse highlighted the fragility of an offense dependent on a single quarterback and a thin offensive line, a lesson Cleveland cannot afford to repeat. By prioritizing depth, conditioning, and strategic rotation, the team can mitigate risks and enhance performance continuity. The defensive line, already projected as a dominant force, benefits from stability and depth, allowing consistent pressure without overexertion. Flacco's role, while sometimes understated, is central to this equation. A steady hand at quarterback reduces variance, limits turnovers, and ensures sustained offensive output. Grossi's analysis underscores that, when these elements align, the Browns possess a plausible path to not only reaching 8 wins, but doing so in a manner that signals sustainable progress rather than a fleeting success. The mental and strategic elements of Cleveland's approach also factor heavily into Grossi's optimism, as preparation, game planning, and adaptability are key differentiators in a division as rigorous as the AFC North. Each week presents formidable opponents capable of exploiting weaknesses, but the Browns' blend of defensive aggression, quarterback stability, and coaching acumen provides the tools to remain competitive consistently. Grossi points out that overlooked matchups could yield unexpected victories if the team executes its game plan effectively. Beyond raw talent, the Browns' potential hinges on situational awareness, disciplined execution, and capitalizing on opponents' mistakes, a formula that can convert marginal advantages into wins. By focusing on these subtleties, Cleveland has the capacity to outperform preseason expectations, demonstrating that careful analysis and preparation can elevate a team beyond simple projections and into legitimate contention within a challenging and physically demanding division. Ultimately, Grossi's projection of 8 wins for the Cleveland Browns this season is a measured yet optimistic assessment, highlighting both the team's potential and the hurdles it must overcome. Success requires a convergence of health, consistent quarterback play, defensive dominance, and strategic execution, elements that were inconsistently present last season. Flacco's ability to manage games effectively, combined with a revitalized defensive line capable of controlling the line of scrimmage, positions Cleveland to compete in nearly every matchup despite the inherent difficulties of the AFC North. While the Browns are not positioned to challenge elite teams immediately, Grossi's analysis suggests they are far from a hopeless franchise, with tangible paths to improvement and sustained competitiveness. By balancing optimism with realistic constraints, Grossi paints a picture of a team that could surprise skeptics and deliver a season that exceeds the expectations imposed by past failures, signaling a potential turning point in Cleveland's ongoing NFL narrative. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Rumors are swirling across the NFL universe this week, and if you thought the Browns were in for a quiet offseason, think again. Deshaun Watson, the franchise quarterback whose presence in Cleveland has already been the source of endless speculation, reportedly slammed his fist on the metaphorical table in meetings with the Browns front office, demanding the immediate departure of rookie sensation Shedeur Sanders. Sources close to the team suggest that Watson, whose tenure has been defined by flashes of brilliance and bouts of inconsistency, sees Sanders as a direct threat to his authority under center. Within team circles, the discussions have allegedly been heated, with Watson expressing that having a young, high-profile backup like Sanders disrupts the established pecking order and could undermine locker room dynamics. The timing of this confrontation, coming just after a season of high expectations and unfulfilled potential, has left executives scrambling to manage the optics and internal morale, as the quarterback's insistence reportedly carried an ultimatum-like weight that few could ignore or counter without significant repercussions for team cohesion and public perception. As the rumor mill churns, insiders claim that Watson's dissatisfaction extends beyond the field into broader organizational strategy. Apparently, the quarterback has been frustrated by what he perceives as a lack of alignment between coaching philosophy and player personnel decisions, with the acquisition of Sanders representing, in Watson's eyes, a misstep in long-term planning. Reports suggest that conversations between Watson and team leadership have grown increasingly tense, with Watson allegedly emphasizing that his performance and leadership must not be compromised by internal competition. The narrative emerging from unnamed sources hints at Watson positioning himself as the definitive face of the franchise and any potential threat to his primacy, particularly from a high-profile rookie like Sanders, must be addressed swiftly and decisively. While the Browns front office has publicly maintained that no decisions have been finalized regarding Sanders' role or future, the back-channel chatter suggests a power struggle brewing behind closed doors, one that could have far-reaching implications not only for roster construction, but also for team culture, media perception, and fan sentiment. Every subtle action, every whispered conversation within the Cleveland locker room is being scrutinized, feeding the narrative that this offseason could be one of the most dramatic in recent franchise history. The ramifications of Watson's alleged ultimatum are far-reaching, touching on both player development and fan loyalty. Shedeur Sanders, a young quarterback hailed for his collegiate success and touted as a potential franchise savior, now finds himself at the center of speculation he may not have anticipated when he signed with the Browns. Sources intimate with the situation claim that Sanders is taking the pressure seriously, understanding that the optics of conflict with a star quarterback could shape public perception of his rookie year. Meanwhile, the Browns coaching staff reportedly finds themselves in an uncomfortable position, caught between appeasing a proven yet mercurial veteran and nurturing the development of a promising young talent whose future could define the next decade of the franchise. Within fan communities, social media platforms are ablaze with theories, memes, and heated debates, further amplifying the narrative and creating a virtual pressure cooker that mirrors the tension in the locker room. Each report, each anonymous insider comment, is dissected and shared as if it were gospel, creating a feedback loop of rumor and speculation that only heightens the intrigue surrounding this emerging saga. Observers note that Watson's history of demanding influence over personnel decisions is not new, yet the stakes feel unusually high given the presence of Sanders. According to sources, The quarterback views Sanders' mere existence on the roster as a potential threat to the leadership hierarchy, arguing that the Browns cannot simultaneously nurture a rookie quarterback of Sanders' caliber and maintain the established authority of their veteran signal caller. Inside the team, whispers suggest that Watson's insistence has caused friction not only with Sanders, but also with other players who see the unfolding drama as destabilizing. Analysts speculate that if the Browns acquiesce to Watson's demands, the franchise could be sending a clear message prioritizing immediate performance over long-term planning, a decision that could influence draft strategy, free agency decisions, and even coaching hires in the future. As discussions continue behind closed doors, the league at large watches with anticipation, aware that the outcome of this internal conflict could set a precedent for how star quarterbacks assert influence over team dynamics in the modern NFL landscape, potentially reshaping the balance of power between player, coach, and executive. Meanwhile, whispers from sources close to Sanders indicate that the young quarterback is handling the situation with a mixture of caution and quiet confidence. Far from publicly engaging in the power struggle, Sanders is said to be focused on preparing for his rookie season, yet aware that any slip or misstep could be magnified in the media spotlight. The contrast between Watson's outspoken stance and Sanders' more reserved approach has reportedly become a focal point in locker room discussions, with teammates divided over whether to publicly support one player or attempt to remain neutral in the growing tension. Industry insiders suggest that Sanders' response could ultimately define his reputation, not only in Cleveland but across the league, as observers evaluate whether he will rise to the challenge, quietly assert his potential, or risk being overshadowed by the veteran quarterback's dominance in shaping team decisions and narratives. Each practice, meeting, and public appearance is being scrutinized for hidden signals of loyalty, rivalry, or reconciliation, making this offseason feel less like a standard team-building period and more like a high-stakes chess match played out on national television. Adding fuel to the speculation is the timing of this alleged confrontation, coinciding with a period in which the Browns are expected to finalize critical roster moves. Sources hint that Watson's demands for Sanders' removal have forced executives into rapid reassessment, juggling trade possibilities, contractual maneuvers, and internal negotiations that could alter the trajectory of multiple players' careers. League insiders note that if Cleveland were to comply with Watson's ultimatum, the ripple effect could reach beyond the quarterback room, potentially influencing salary cap allocations, draft priorities, and even coaching assignments designed to manage or mitigate locker room tensions. Analysts have pointed out that such a move could send shockwaves through the NFL community, signaling a precedent in which a franchise quarterback exerts outsized influence over personnel decisions, raising questions about the balance of power between ownership, management, and elite players in an era increasingly defined by high-profile individual leverage. Every speculative report feeds into a growing narrative that the Browns' offseason could be one of the most scrutinized and contentious in recent memory, with Watson at the center of the storm. Fans, naturally, have latched onto every detail of the alleged drama, with social media accounts and forums erupting in speculation, theories, and conflicting loyalties. Some supporters appear to side with Watson, arguing that the quarterback's experience and leadership warrant the ability to shape the roster, while others champion Sanders as the future of the franchise, viewing any attempt to sideline a promising rookie as short-sighted and potentially damaging to long-term success. Memes and viral posts further distort reality, blurring the line between fact and rumor, while sports commentators dissect each report as if it were definitive news, creating a feedback loop in which speculation drives coverage, coverage amplifies speculation, and the saga grows ever more intense. In this environment, the Browns' front office faces the delicate task of managing perception while balancing internal priorities, as the rumored feud threatens to overshadow legitimate team-building efforts, disrupt preparation for the upcoming season, and transform a routine offseason into a full-blown national conversation about power, loyalty, and influence in professional sports. Industry analysts suggest that the alleged standoff could have tangible impacts on player performance, both immediate and long-term. Watson, according to sources, is expected to maintain a high level of intensity and focus, Yet the pressure of defending his position against a heralded rookie could add stress, influencing on-field decision-making, leadership approach, and interactions with teammates. Conversely, Sanders may experience heightened scrutiny, with every pass, every play, every gesture evaluated in light of the ongoing narrative. Such an environment could accelerate development for a mentally resilient player, but also potentially hinder performance if tension becomes a distraction. Coaches reportedly face a delicate balancing act, needing to ensure that both quarterbacks remain engaged and productive while navigating what is increasingly described as a politically charged locker room atmosphere. Observers note that the eventual resolution, whether through trade, reassignment, or reconciliation, could set an example for how the NFL handles similar internal conflicts in an era where star power increasingly influences roster decisions, team culture, and media narratives. Reports also suggest that Watson's stance is informed by both personal ambition and strategic calculation. Sources intimate that the quarterback views Sanders not merely as competition, but as a symbol of a shift in team philosophy that he is unwilling to accept. The alleged demand for Sanders' departure appears to be a proactive effort to assert control over the franchise's direction, signaling to coaches, executives, and teammates alike that Watson's vision for the team comes first. Analysts note that this type of maneuvering, while controversial, is consistent with patterns observed in elite quarterbacks who possess both on-field talent and the ability to influence organizational decision-making. The tension has reportedly sparked private debates among team leadership, who must weigh the potential benefits of retaining both quarterbacks against the risks of a fractured locker room, diminished morale, and public perception that the Browns are unable to manage internal dynamics effectively, all while navigating the pressures of an upcoming season that already carries high expectations from fans and media alike. Meanwhile, league-wide attention on the rumored conflict has intensified, with rival teams, commentators, and analysts weighing in on the potential fallout. Some speculate that other quarterbacks in similar situations will be watching closely, noting the precedent it could set for asserting influence over personnel decisions. Trade speculation, hypothetical roster scenarios, and even coaching strategy adjustments have flooded sports media outlets, further fueling the rumor mill. While no official statements confirm any immediate moves regarding Sanders, insiders suggest that the Browns are actively exploring multiple options to resolve the conflict without alienating key talent or creating a long-term public relations headache. As each report surfaces, the narrative grows more layered, blending elements of personal rivalry, franchise strategy, and media-driven speculation, creating a complex story that transcends ordinary off-season chatter and positions Cleveland as the center of a highly watched NFL drama that could redefine how star quarterbacks wield influence in the modern game. In the midst of this swirling storm, players, coaches, and executives reportedly continue to navigate the tension with cautious optimism, understanding the stakes involved. Watson's demands, while reportedly firm, are just one piece of a larger puzzle that includes team culture, fan loyalty, and long-term competitive strategy. Sanders, meanwhile, faces the dual challenge of proving himself on the field while carefully managing interactions and optics off the field, aware that each move could be interpreted as support, defiance, or neutrality. Analysts suggest that the eventual resolution will provide critical insight into the balance of power between star athletes and organizational leadership in contemporary professional sports. For the Browns, the coming weeks could prove decisive not only for their roster and season prospects, but also for the franchise's broader identity, as fans, media, and league observers closely monitor the unfolding saga, eager to see how one high-profile conflict could ripple across the NFL and shape the future of player empowerment and organizational control in ways that resonate far beyond Cleveland's stadium walls. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!